a 2-year, $103 million contract extension from the Houston Rockets and has told them, get me to Brooklyn. So Jimbo Harden wants out. You know, if I'm the Nets, you haven't even had a day to play Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant together yet. But what tells me with James Harden that you are not going to see real, true success with that threesome? That threesome just seems like it's entirely too volatile. Harden's a guy that has already run a couple of stars out of town down in Houston, and now he wants out. I mean, he ran out Chris Paul, who's a winner, and thank God he got traded to Phoenix and didn't end up with the Knicks. He ran out, Dwight Howard when he was much more in the prime of his career, and now he's trying to get out of there, and he doesn't want to play with Westbrook again. Westbrook doesn't want to play with him again, and you want to bring him here to play with the Nets and Durant and Kyrie Irving. Have you seen, first of all, there's no real dialogue to it, okay? It's basically Harden saying, get me there. Honestly, what has James Harden ever done in terms of winning a championship that he gets to dictate the terms here? I know it's a superstar league. I understand all of that. But how is it not only demand a trade to the Brooklyn Nets? So now you completely neuter your team to get in return what they need to. They will get plenty in return, but what they could get in return would have been off the charts. But this is the deal that they were talking about, and this is why the Nets should never do it. Never do it. Think about this for a second. This is what the package might look like. Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, the number 19 pick Wednesday night, the 2022 and 24 first-round picks, and then swap 2023 and 2021 and 25. Are you kidding me? 5 picks, basically, you are swapping or giving them for James Harden. You're giving up LeVert, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie. No. You know what Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, and Spencer Dinwiddie are? Great players to play with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and gives you a better chance to go win a championship. The Nets would be drunk to go and get James Harden. Drunk. That triumvirate in Brooklyn would not win a championship. They might not even make the finals. At some point, and it would be sooner rather than later, the three of them would start hating each other. Can we agree on that? That's an utter nightmare scenario for Brooklyn. It would be such a dumb move to trade all of that away to get James Harden. I get it. James Harden is a great, great player in the league. Who exactly is going to take a back seat in that threesome there to go win a championship? Who's going to just dial it back a little bit, and I'll let everybody else be the stars here? And what does it even leave you with? Wow. That would be such a bad trade for the Nets. I would hate that trade. And if I were the Nets, I'd be thinking a heck of a lot more about what I need to do to put myself in the position with these guys and my draft picks and everything else to go deep into the playoffs this year. I think the Nets have already done enough. They don't have to do this. This is overkill, and this, to me, is adding a potential bit of poison to the situation. And if you do that, you just have no concept of how to run an NBA team. Having 3 stars together is great. It can't just be any 3 stars. There's a reason that Durant worked with Klay Thompson and worked with Steph Curry. There's a reason that worked. Kyrie Irving and James Harden are not Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They're not. What an absolute debacle that would be. And frankly, I can't even believe that giving up that much is truly being discussed. I got to hear from you on this, because I think this would be, it would be like a Herschel Walker trade. It really would, wouldn't it? In so many ways, that would be a Herschel Walker trade. 800-919-3776. Let's not waste any time. Get also on Twitter as well, at Chris Carlin. On the video stream, you can comment there by all means. Do it there. The video stream's over on ESPN 98.7 FM's Twitter handle and also on ESPN New York's Facebook page. Let's go. Said in New Jersey is up next. Said, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Carlin?
Is it Said? How do I pronounce your name?
Just Say.
Say. All right. What's got?
Yeah.
What do you got, bud?
What's up? So I totally agree with you about James Harden going to the Nets with Kyrie, right? But what about this? What about just doing a straight-up trade? I don't know if Kyrie has a no-trade clause or not, but a straight-up trade of Kyrie and James Harden. I would take James Harden over Kyrie any day.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I don't think, first of all, that the Rockets want the salary in return. That's right. The first thing. If they're going to trade Harden, they're not going to bring back ridiculous salaries that are tied up for a long time. That's the first thing. Right. Same thing if they're trading away Westbrook. They're looking for cap relief in addition to all that, and they want a boatload in return. And frankly, I can't blame them, because Harden is an amazing player, and I don't want to be held captive by his whims when I just offered him $50 million a year for 2 years. He would have been the NBA's first $50 million a year player.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Listen, you put the three of them together, I think you're just asking for it. I really think you're asking for it. You want that to explode. Please tell me where I'm wrong here, because I understand how great all three players are. Can we at least see Durant and Kyrie play together with this other group that has been developed so well here? Jared Allen, Dinwiddie, I'm not trading away those guys in that kind of a trade when they could be perfect complements. Karis LeVert has turned into a great NBA player. They could be perfect complements on a championship team. 800-919-3776. Next, let's hit, what do you got? John and Freehold. John, what's going on?
How you doing, Chris?
John, I'm frankly annoyed right now.
Why would you be annoyed, Chris?
Because I'm annoyed at the notion.
I love this drama. I love this chaos. I love this.
I love drama and chaos. But if I'm the Nets, that annoys me. The idea of bringing this guy in to play when he has run other players out of town.
Chris, when you talk about the NBA, it's all about fits, and I just don't see the fit. It's putting a round peg in a square hole.
I agree with that.
And the other narrative I've heard is this puts pressure on the Knicks organization to pull the trigger. You can't worry about your neighbor next door, Chris. You got to take care of your own house. And the worst thing the Knicks can do is make a reactionary move here, whether this trade goes down or not, because supposedly they feel a lot of pressure from Brooklyn. And you know what happened the last time something like this presented itself to the Knicks? It was the Carmelo Anthony trade, where the threat was Prokhorov was going to get Carmelo there, that Carmelo was going to agree to a trade to the Nets if the Knicks didn't work something out. And that's a position you don't want to find yourself in as a franchise.
So you do not want Russell Westbrook for the Knicks?
I do not want Russell Westbrook for the Knicks.
Why not?
I do not, because I don't want to give up a guy at 32 years of age, making a boatload of money, who had elite talent in OKC and never won anything there. He's had nagging injuries the last 2 seasons, and the Knicks have massive holes throughout their roster. Who is he going to play with when you bring him in here? And I'm not giving up first-round draft picks to bring in Russell Westbrook. I'm sorry.
I don't think you're giving up multiple. First of all, I don't think you're giving up multiple first-round picks. Secondly, you have the cap room to take on his contract. Number three, he's not 30, but he's not 35 years old. He's 32. There's still a lot left for Russell Westbrook. He's still a dominant player. When was the last time you had somebody that could average 27, 7, and 7?
Chris, that's just figures to me. Those are just stats.
Listen, don't mean anything. I think Westbrook would put the. Here's what you need to. Here's your argument. Let me make your argument for you. Okay, your argument, John, is you need to make the Knicks as attractive a situation as you can for other players. And what does that more? The 8th pick and a French point guard this year, or Russell Westbrook? Westbrook.
Who wanted to go play with Russell Westbrook in OKC or Houston? Did he attract anybody there?
I understand Paul George went there eventually, but then he also went to go and play with.
He wanted out.
But he wanted out to go play with the Clippers and what's his head, Kawhi Leonard. I don't blame him for that.
He was going to a better situation because he didn't like playing with Russell Westbrook.
And then Westbrook went to Houston, and he didn't want to play with Harden. Thanks for the call.
That's what I'm saying, Chris. There's a lot of drama here. The juice isn't worth the squeeze with the Knicks.
See, I think with Westbrook it is. You guys are content now to sit around and wait for 35 years for this to happen. You can't sit on your hands anymore. Yeah, the Carmelo trade was dumb. Why was the Carmelo trade done? Because of everything that they gave up in that trade. Everything that they gave up. Westbrook to the Knicks, you're not going to end up giving up a lot. Even if you ended up giving up the 8th overall pick, I'm fine with that. Westbrook is a good player. A really, really good, Westbrook is a great player. The Knicks don't have any great players. I would like to see Westbrook come in and play with Mitchell Robinson and play with R.J. Barrett. It'd be cool. I think they'd have a chance to develop nicely. 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. Open lines. Good chance to get through right now. Are you trading all of that to go and get James Harden for the Nets? And the Westbrook trade continues to simmer for the Knicks. You can also comment over on the live streams as well. Chris Garcia checks in, says, I'm doing this trade. Chris, you're wrong. Sorry. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN. Get on board. Also on Twitter, at Chris Carlin as well. It's 9:15. 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. You want Russell Westbrook on the Knicks, and would you trade basically your entire roster, with the exception of Irving and Durant, for James Harden? James Harden is now demanding to be traded to the Nets. It's not just demanding to be traded to the Nets. I'll tell you, it is remarkable what players get away with these days, especially the ones that haven't won championships. You know, Harden's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he should not be dictating where he's going to play when he's still got, 3 years and $130-some million left in his contract, and they just offered to tack on another 2 years on $100 million on it. Stop. Just stop. 800-919-3776. Vincent, he is in Manhattan. He is up next on 98.7 ESPN. Vincent, what's up?
Good evening, everyone. Listen, this is my feeling on it here at this point. If nothing else happens from this, if R.J. Barrett learns that killer instinct from Russell Westbrook, gets out of that sleepy mode that he always seems to be in, it's a net positive across the board. You get some excitement in New York. You get a little bit of development to R.J. Barrett. And if you don't think that Mitchell Robinson and Russell Westbrook can run the pick and roll to perfection, I don't know if you know basketball, man.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with that. And I think you bring up an excellent point. The point, Vincent, and thanks for the call, that you could actually have a guy like Westbrook really have a major effect on R.J. Barrett. Now, not that R.J. Barrett's going to become Russell Westbrook, but he could teach him an awful lot of things, could really take him under his wing, and more than anything, the mentality, try to instill in a player. Look, I think we all know that Barrett has so much talent. We haven't really seen it come to the forefront yet, and that's going to take some time. But I want to see someone like Westbrook come here just frankly for that reason, not that reason alone. He's a great player. The Knicks need excitement, and they need other guys want to be here. But for me, I think the positive effect he could have on a guy like R.J. Barrett would really go a long way. Mark's in Princeton next, 98.7 ESPN. Mark, what do you got?
How you doing, Chris, tonight?
I'm great. How are you, bud?
I'm doing great. So for like a talent thing and development, I don't think you have a better trade. What are you going to give your 8th overall pick? When was the last time the Knicks drafted with a pick above 8 that they drafted a better player than Westbrook?
Well, I mean, they did take Porzingis, and I'm not saying Porzingis is better than Westbrook, but they did do pretty well up there. I just don't think that anybody you're going to get at the 8th pick, I'm agreeing with you. Anybody that you get with the 8th pick in this draft is not going to be a difference maker to the level of a Russell Westbrook.
The only hesitation would be is his attitude. Do you want that in the locker room? But for development for Barrett, that is what you need.
I have always been, listen, I don't think Westbrook's attitude is nearly as bad as people make it out to be. I really don't. I think more than anything is the idea that Westbrook, went to Houston and actually was demanding some accountability from some players. And when it came to Harden got all bent out of shape. And Westbrook was, demanding it from himself too. It's not like he was just sitting there pointing the fingers. He was pointing the thumb too. You have an opportunity to get that level of talent in the building and do it for a very, very small price. You have to do it. You absolutely have to do it.
I haven't followed the Knicks since they traded Porzingis. I don't care about them anymore. They're pretty much irrelevant to me. They get Westbrook. I'm following them again.
You care about them then, right?
You care about them. They're going to saying there's never going to be a problem with getting people in that building because New York fans are crazy. But you'll care about them. People will watch them. I don't think there's a better player that would be available for a trade for them to get than Westbrook.
I don't think that they have really been in that position anyway. I think that people are still going to the games when you can. But what I would say is I would expect that you would want to get somebody in there who's going to raise a level of excitement that they haven't had in quite some time. And he's the kind of guy who's going to do that. Michael Van Houten checking in on the Facebook feed, Facebook Live feed. Why would Westbrook want to go to the Knicks? Well, he's going to get traded to the Knicks. That's the point. He would not have a ton of say into where he would end up in that instance. That's number one, not like Harden apparently is going to have. And number two, I think you have an opportunity there that if you go there and you can attract another big player there, you can do something that nobody's ever done before. You can bring the Knicks back to relevance. And you could do, I mean, frankly, if you're Westbrook and you're able to attract other players here, you could do that to the level of Patrick Ewing. And I'm not saying he would be as good of a Knick as Patrick Ewing was. I'm talking about creating a winning culture with the team as a star player. And hopefully Westbrook could get that second guy to be here with him. He could make it an attractive enough situation. He could help to develop an RJ Barrett, or he could help to develop Mitchell Robinson. Have that kind of positive influence on them. But I look at everything else. I look at the other guys who we're talking about on the team. What are you guys waiting for? And that's what I want to talk about next. Like, what am I missing here with the whole doing it the right way thing? That's what I need you to explain to me. Open lines, good chance to get through. 800-919-3776. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN. Please explain to me why you shouldn't get Westbrook when you have absolutely nothing else that draws attention or fans to the building. Fans just show up because they're going to show up at MSG. But when that quality of celebrity row goes down, you know, when I'm not seeing McCartney, but I got Rappaport in the front row, well, it wouldn't be Rappaport. He kills Dolan all the time. But when I don't get to see McCartney and Chris Rock in the front row, and then all of a sudden I turn around and Chris Elliott's sitting in the front row, things have changed. Get on the phones. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN, 800-919-3776. 800-919-3776. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN. The Michael K. Show's 20 and 20 contest continues tomorrow at 3 p.m. Be listening for your chance at 20 great prizes over 20 days to make your home life a little more enjoyable. Tomorrow, the guys are giving away a Yeti backpack cooler. I like it. 20 and 20 contest brought to you by PC Richard and Son, Kansas City Steak, the Bartesian Premium Cocktails on Demand, and 98.7 ESPN. We continue on the phones because I need you to explain to me why you wouldn't want Westbrook on this team, considering what you have on this team right now. And that is nothing with the Knicks. So please, Low in Queens, explain to me why you would not do this, if in fact you would not do this. What's up?
I can't believe what I'm hearing. I can't believe I'm listening to a prestigious sports radio station and you're entertaining the idea of bringing on Russell Westbrook. Don't you see the market for him? Doesn't that speak for itself?
I think the fact that he's making $50 million a year speaks for itself.
I don't know what the bad bloated contract has to do with anything. I just wanted to bring up 2 points as a scarred Knicks fan. 2015, and we had the option to bring in Carmelo Anthony. No other team was offering him more than, I think, $80 million at the time, and we went ahead and gave him a $120 million contract. Was Melo still a good player at the time? Absolutely. It's the same as Westbrook is right now. But the market is dictating that he is not valuable. All
right, but let's be clear on something. Let's be clear on two things. First of all, the Knicks were the only team that could offer him that much because that's the benefit of re-signing with your former team. But secondly, Russell Westbrook is not Carmelo Anthony. He's not in the ballpark of Carmelo Anthony. Russell Westbrook is an infinitely better player than Carmelo Anthony could ever hope to be. He's not Melo. I agree. I would have never brought Melo back because at the time, I felt like Melo was going to do exactly what he did, and that was get his money, and when he wasn't happy, get the most money, and when he wasn't happy, force his way out, and that's exactly what happened.
The way I see it, I look at getting Westbrook as putting a Band-Aid on a shotgun wound. We'll be better, but look at OKC. 3 first-round exits, 3 years in a row. All 3 years he averaged a triple.
All right, but what happened this year? They did go to the conference finals, and yes, he was hurt, but they did go to the Western Conference Finals in Houston.
They didn't go to the Western Conference Finals this year.
Hang on a second here. Am I getting it wrong?
Yes, you are.
All right. And if I am, I apologize. But
they went to the semis.
The semis, excuse me. When he got hurt, and that made a major impact on them.
Do you really believe in your heart that Westbrook and Harden, even with a fully healthy team, was beating like the Clippers, the Lakers, anybody like that?
You're right, by the way. I was wrong. Semifinals, not the finals. I don't know why I had it stuck in my head that the Lakers were in the conference finals.
But the point being that Westbrook does not elevate a team to the level. Not saying that the Knicks need to be automatic championship contenders.
Well, but who else do you have? I guess my point is on this, who else do you have right now?
Well, just because there's no, like, the reason I brought up 2015 Carmelo Anthony is because just because nobody else wants to come doesn't mean you should just, give anybody a contract. It doesn't make sense.
I don't think that they should just give anybody a contract. I think that they should give him, they should trade for him with 3 years left in this deal, and he could have an impact on developing Barrett. He could play very well with Mitchell Robinson. I think we can agree about that. The Knicks are instantly better. They're instantly relevant, and you're not absolutely destroyed on your salary cap because you still have a ton of room to work with, and God forbid you actually get somebody who could play with him.
If I may.
You may.
If we take him, and then, if you look at everything that's happened in OKC, Victor Oladipo, had a decent season with Westbrook, but left him and became an all-star. Paul George went running for the hills when it was time for him to, make a decision. He kind of left, kind of in the middle of the night, didn't even let anybody know, kind of like. So, and then now look at James Harden. It's like it's not a good pattern. This guy is not what we need. If we're really trying to establish a new culture, he's on the wrong side of 30. His production is kind of going the wrong way. He's inefficient. He puts up these big numbers, but he's not the efficient. Like, I would have taken Chris Paul because there wasn't enough time left on his contract, but that's off the table now. But a guy like
But Chris Paul's 35 years old. He's a guy that you go get when you can't possibly, when you absolutely need the last piece and a winning player to get to the puzzle. I get what you're saying, okay?
He won't be the culture change we need. He will not be the culture change we need.
But what are you getting besides him right now? I'm not just saying hand it to anybody. This is a guy that averaged 27, 8, and 7 this year. Okay? And yeah, he was hurt in the playoffs. There's no getting around that. Okay? But he makes you better, and it's a more attractive situation. Now, you're dead right. Listen, you're 100% right. I was wrong about the conference finals. I don't know why I had it stuck in my head that was not the semis.
Hey,
but
you were one round off. That's not that bad.
Yeah, but the point is this, okay? If I'm the Knicks at this point, where else am I getting that player? Who's the next disgruntled player that's going to come available, and what do I have to give up for him? I think the other thing I'd argue about it is this. You have an opportunity here to get somebody where it's not going to cost you a ton in return in capital, and thanks for the call, whereas look at what the Nets are potentially going to have to give up to go get Harden. The next time somebody comes open or it comes available in a potential trade, you'd have to look at that and say, well, now I got to give everything up to get him. You don't have to do that with Russell Westbrook. He's a tremendous player. He had his best scoring year. It's a guy that's averaged a triple-double before. And here's the other thing I really want to stress. 32 is not 35. He is not 35 with 3 years left on his contract. He is 32 with 3 years left on his contract. Richard in Flushing is next, 98.7 ESPN. Richard.
Dude, I don't know what my guy's talking about, but we need Russell Westbrook. 2015 Melo, I agree with you 100%. He is no Melo. He's got skills beyond Melo. We need him in New York. RJ would be his Robin, Mitchell Robinson, and I think we should get Marcus Morris back. My question to you is, and then I'm going to hang up, who could we get? Who's out there? You put your NBA knowledge beyond mine. Who can we get as a fifth guy to help the Knicks if we were to get Marcus Morris? And I'm hanging up.
I don't know about Morris. I mean, listen, he was a good player when he was here. I thought he was a good player. I thought he was a terrific ad for the Clippers at the time. And frankly, I was so disappointed with how the Clippers played down the stretch of the season because I thought they were going to lock up the Western Conference with that move. But I think the Knicks right now are in a position where they can't worry about the other players, the other role players right now. You have to let that play out. Is there a free agent right now who's legitimately going to come to the Knicks who I would want to go and get? I mean, of course I want Giannis. Of course I do. Of course I want somebody like Kawhi Leonard if he opted out. Of course, these things are not realistic. But then you get down to the Victor Oladipos and the Drew Holidays and the DeMar DeRozans. And my answer on those guys is no. No, that's not where I want to go. I don't want Blake Griffin. I think that would be a mistake. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN, 800-919-3776. Just frustrated with the idea that somehow more help is definitively on the way. Why is it that you can't take a chance on Westbrook at 32 and not giving up a whole lot in return? Even if it was the 8th pick, I'd do it. What am I missing that is on this roster that is so locked in to be such a centerpiece of the future? Carlin, 98.7 ESPN, 800-919-3776. Open lines the rest of the way. And a good chance for you to get through. Please explain to me where I'm wrong. 98.7 ESPN. couple of tweets at Chris Carlin. If that deal goes wrong, it's going to make Bobby Bonilla's situation look like a great deal. That from Friedrichsen Rio. Let's see here. Timothy Fletcher. This is in reference to the Harden deal. They still only play the game with one ball, right? Exactly. I asked the question, is Billy King still around? Because that's a Billy King type deal. And then let's see. Aobi, can we get a more original take? Every big three is never going to work until they work. They all win at least one. I would argue that you've never had a big three with more volatile personalities than these three. 800-919-3776. Jay is in New Jersey next. 98.7 ESPN. Jay, what do you got? Jay, are you with us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, here. What I have to say is simple, and then I'm going to hang up because I just got home from work and I'm sitting in my driveway. The reason the Knicks do not get Westbrook is because at best he'll keep you just good enough to go nowhere for the next 5 to 7 years. At the worst, he won't even get that far. And I'm talking about like maybe an 8th place or 7th place finish in the conference. And at the absolute worst, if he can't even get there, he'll just drive the team apart because it'll start to deteriorate quickly, and that'll kill the morale of all the young players on the team. So what are you really getting from getting?
All right, well, first of all, I don't think he'd be here for 5 to 7 years. It's 3 years left on his contract.
I'm saying the Knicks. It would destroy the Knicks because they don't get any good draft picks.
No, I understand what you're saying. I get that. But I think that what you're not counting on is that the fact that he is going to make them better. And if you're developing the rest of your younger talent, it makes it a more attractive place to be. And then all of a sudden, somebody could come and play at Madison Square Garden and help turn this team into a championship contending type team. And that takes your level for your career even higher than others, considering you would have done it here when nobody else wanted to.
I get what you're saying there, but I'm not really sure how many NBA stars are clamoring to play with Russell Westbrook. He seems to be one of those
Jay,
guys
they would be if he comes here and he turns it into a better situation.
Well,
and thanks for the call.
Give me a guy.
Well, but Jay, he has to come here and he has to show that he can make this a better situation. Westbrook's the one who wants to get away from Harden. Don't forget about that. It's not the other way around. Westbrook is the one who demanded the trade first. Thanks for the call. Darren in Jersey is next, 98.7 ESPN. Hey, Darren.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. My opinion on the whole thing is I think as Knicks fans, we've just seen so much losing. We just want to see the team built. And Russell Westbrook trade just seems like another quick fix of the same old story that we've been through already.
But here's what I want to know, Darren. What do you want to do?
Honestly, listen, if Leon Rose went through all of this, hiring a new staff, scouts, let them do their job. I won't be infuriated if they trade for Westbrook, but at the same time, if we hiring all these new coaches, new staff, new development, let them work. Let me see them actually work.
But you're not going to see the benefit of that for another 3 years at least, and thanks for the call. That's the problem. You're not going to see the benefit of all of that, really winning games for another 3 years. At some point, you have to pull the trigger and bring in somebody who can help you immediately and in the next couple of years. That's the best part about this deal with Westbrook, okay? Yes, it's 3 years, and it's $150 million. It's not 7 years. He's not Giancarlo Stanton. That's not what we're talking about. He does not hamstring you forever. He comes here. He hopefully makes everybody else develop and better. And I understand that his reputation is not sterling, but it's not horrible either. I don't think he's a complete organization killer. Jason in Matawan next, 98.7 ESPN. Jason, go.
Why don't we take Russell Westbrook? We don't have anyone right now. When was the last time we had somebody who could put up 27-7 right away. You need people going to the games. If we draft a young kid who's playing point guard from overseas, who's also a lefty like R.J. Barrett, it doesn't do anything. We need Russell Westbrook.
I'm with you. It's nothing against the idea that you want to develop your own guys.
1 minute.
But I guess what I would ask people is this too, Jason, and thanks for the call. When was the last time a championship team was like homegrown and developed that way? When does that happen anymore? I mean, the answer is it doesn't happen anymore. Teams are not built that way. The Lakers brought in LeBron and Anthony Davis. I mean, even the Golden State Warriors, who had won that way, still went ahead and brought in Kevin Durant. These kinds of things, these kinds of build it from your bottom up with your own homegrown talent. No, it's not the NFL. It's not
20.
Major League Baseball. That's not what it is. That does it for me. Larry Hardesty is up next. He has got ESPN New York tonight. The show, basically average on my part, I think. But Brian Munguia was anything but average. Outstanding work as usual. We will see you tomorrow night at 7. The big fella. Out. Stay handsome.